Hi everyone, welcome to my city walk 2 of Barcelona. If you see me looking at my phone during this at all, it's just because I have some notes that I've written down. So let's begin. So the first stop on my tour is the Francia station. So the Francia station is a major railway station in the city of Barcelona in Catalonia, Spain. The Francia station is the second busiest railway station of the city after Barcelona Sants in terms of regional and long-distance ridership. A railway station was first built here in the 19th century as the main terminus for trains arriving from France, but also for services to northeast Catalonia and the Costa Brava. So as a foreigner first arriving in a new place, first impressions of that place can be really important. It's the first impression of a new place that can potentially determine the outlook that a foreigner will carry throughout their entire trip. And it can also lead them to see the city in a certain way. So when people first arrive in a city, they can have all these preconceived notions of what it was going to be like. So for Andrea, she goes through a cultural shock upon her arrival, which brings her to indulge in daydreams of Barcelona. So she had her first experience as a foreigner here, and she says, the special smell, the loud noise of the crowd, the invariably sad lights held great charm for me, since all my impressions were enveloped in the wonder of having come at last to a big city, adored in my daydreams because it was unknown. So this is definitely, for Andrea, the first initial impression which foreigners often make, and this can be the impression that will lead a foreigner to have a certain mood for the entire trip. So the next stop on our city walk is Calle de Herbau. The street is a street in Barcelona located in the neighborhoods of the Old Left, Example, and the Saint Gervasi. So this street is running for about 2 kilometers from Augusta down to Gran Via. It is a straight road, downhill or uphill, depending on the course of direction that you're going. Has a lot of bars, restaurants, hotels, and it's known for its true Barcelona nightlife. So this street represents, for like a foreigner, I thought, when they actually get the true impression of what a city is. So for Andrea, this is when she actually got her first impression of her family, of what Barcelona actually was. She kind of felt lost at first because she was a foreigner to not only the city, but now to even her family, which most people wouldn't say that they're a foreigner to, but for Andrea, she truly was a foreigner to her family. So when she arrived here at her family's home, she was still in her daydreams about Barcelona. And when her grandmother opened the door, she became a foreigner to Barcelona herself and her family. They were really showing their true colors from the very beginning, and it made Andrea uncomfortable. She had said, illuminated twinkling of the stars brought back in a rush all of my hopes regarding Barcelona until the moment I'd entered the atmosphere of perverse people and furniture. So this is where she's seeing Barcelona in a whole new light, and it's not necessarily positive. And I think a lot of foreigners go through this true realization at some point in their trip of, oh my gosh, this is actually what this city is like. And it can definitely be a positive or a negative. So the next stop is the University of Barcelona. The University of Barcelona is a public university located in the city of Barcelona, Catalonia, in Spain, with 73 undergraduate programs, 273 graduate programs, and 48 doctorate programs. To over 63,000 students, it is considered to be the best university in Spain. The University of Barcelona is ranked 156th overall in the world. The University of Barcelona is the principal center of the university research in Spain and has become a European benchmark for research activity. So this, to me, I started thinking about how a foreigner might have a feeling of being lost, but there's also going to be a place where foreigners will feel found, or will feel this sense of being at home. For Andrea, this was her university. This was her school. So she began to discover new things about the city, but she also began to discover new things about herself throughout her university experience. And I think that it was the university that truly brought her courage and strength through her travels and through dealing with her family. So Andrea was definitely lost, not only to her surroundings, but to herself and to her family. And her aunt Angustius controlled her life, making sure that she judged every move that Andrea made, giving her unsolicited lectures. Um, it made Andrea feel obsolete all the time, but when she arrived here, she stated, "I swore to myself I wouldn't mix those two worlds that were beginning to stand out so clearly in my life. My student friendships with their easy cordiality and my dirty, welcoming house." So this was a place where she said, "No more, I'm not going to stand for that." And I think that a lot of foreigners will find a place where they feel that sense of courage and strength through their travels. So the next place is Las Ramblas, one of my favorite places that I visited. It was a lot of fun. So Las Ramblas is a street in the center of Barcelona, a tree-lined pedestrian street. It stretches for 1.2 kilometers, connecting Plaza de Catalunya in the center with the Christopher Columbus Monument. Las Ramblas can be crowded, especially during the height of tourist season. Its popularity with tourists has affected the character of the street, with a move to pavement cafes and souvenir kiosks, and I can definitely add to that it is a very busy place, but a very fun place to be. So Las Ramblas is truly the melting pot of Barcelona, and every city definitely has a place like Las Ramblas. And when a foreigner can stumble upon a place like this, they can feel conflicted between the authentic experience and then the tourist traps. You're definitely going to find tourist traps here, such as like moving statues and just different things that definitely you'll be able to tell are not authentic, but sometimes it's very easy to fall into those. It's filled with like a lot of stores that have plenty of dust collectors, and so this reminded me of the song of Barcelona by Ed Sheeran that we had listened to. So when evaluating this song, it definitely shows the pain of Barcelona's past, and it captures the trauma and the tragedy that Barcelona went through. But at first glance, this song is like a really upbeat and happy song. So this song in itself is basically a tourist trap, I thought. And this street also, in the documentary, was brought up, the anarchism of Barcelona. They referenced the red A, which can be seen throughout the city, but specifically on Las Ramblas. The symbol represents pain and bloodshed from its past with the Civil War. So, while it's understood that people of Spain want to forget and move on from their dark past, this symbol stands as a reminder. So this street is really a collection of the past and the present, along with the authentic Barcelona experience and a world that's made for tourists. Our next stop is the Sagrada Familia. This is a really beautiful place. I loved visiting here too. So the Sagrada Familia is a large unfinished Roman Catholic church in Barcelona, designed by the Catalan architect Antoni Gaudí. The style of La Sagrada Familia is variously linked to Spanish late Gothic and Catalan modernism. Relying solely on private donations, Sagrada Familia's construction progressed slowly and was interrupted by the Spanish Civil War. As far as I know, the construction still isn't completed. So in order for foreigners to understand the present state of a city, they must understand the past. The history of a city is what shapes the present state of the city and the goals that the city will move forward to. In cities, a city's history is what drives progression in the people. So Barcelona is a place of progression, and it welcomes all people from all over the world. It truly is a melting pot. So under the rule of Francisco Franco, the people of Spain felt a void. As the title of the novel suggests, the Civil War brought a period where the people of Barcelona felt nothing. They felt empty. The war left behind a Gothic atmosphere, just as this cathedral embodies, and it left a Gothic feeling even in the people. La Sagrada Familia is a snapshot of Barcelona's history, and it surely captures the darkness that was the Spanish Civil War. Andrea feels firsthand how the Civil War impacted her family and the city. When going out with her aunt Angustia, she even goes as far to say as trips around Barcelona were sadder than anyone could imagine. And I really think that the Sagrada Familia Church is a true reminder of the sadness and the pain and the darkness, but it's also under construction and it's being built into this beautiful place where Barcelona is starting to heal. The next stop on our trip is Casa Batlló. Casa Batlló is a building in the center of Barcelona. It was designed by Antoni Gaudí and is considered one of his masterpieces. A remodel of a previously built house was redesigned in 1904 by Gaudí and has been refurbished several times after that. There are a few straight lines, and much of the facade is decorated with colorful mosaic made of broken ceramic tiles, which Gaudí used a lot in all of his work. The roof is arched and was linked to the back of a dragon, and the local name for the building is Casa del Ossos, which is known as the House of Bones. And you'll see like the very front of the house has a lot of small, tiny bone-like structures, and that's where it got its name from. So, Barcelona is portrayed as a bright and vibrant destination for travels. And it is, honestly, it has a really bright culture, and like a lot of the architecture is very bright. But while its culture is reflective of this bright and vibrant portrayal, Barcelona carries a very dark and gloomy overcast due to its past. The people are still experiencing the emotions brought on by the fascist regime. Much of the architecture and art scene in Barcelona reflects the feelings that many people are still experiencing. Casa Batlló has a whimsical, magical look to it, but it really represents the deaths that occurred during the Spanish Civil War. Andrea's house is very similar to this house because of the gloomy atmosphere and the reminders of the past. She expresses how all of the old furniture and paintings in the house are constant reminders for her family of the things that they went through during war times. So, the presence of post-wartime trauma is not explicitly mentioned, but it's definitely represented through the places and the things that Andrea says. And our final stop is Rambla de Mar, and I actually took a cruise out of this port, which is really fun. The La Rambla de Mar is a wavy wooden walkway that begins next to the port building. It stretches across to the wharf. As a foreigner, the end of a trip can lead to many emotions and memories arising. Sometimes a foreigner wants to forget, but sometimes they want to remember. Some explorations in a city can bring about trauma within a foreigner. The history that they've learned about, the feelings they have experienced, and the new discoveries they made for themselves can be difficult. That doesn't mean it didn't impact the foreigner strongly, but sometimes they just want to forget. It's not worth it. And for Andrea, I think her time in Barcelona was definitely something that she wants to forget. The trauma she experienced, she wanted to leave behind. She wanted to go to her new beginnings, and she does recognize the strength and the lessons Barcelona left her with. As Andrea leaves her old life behind, she says, "Before I climbed into the car, I looked up at the house where I had lived for a year. The first rays of sun were hitting its windows. A few moments later, Calle de Herbel and all of Barcelona were behind me." So she was leaving her memories behind and moving forward to a new life. And I think that sometimes when foreigners travel, their trip can be symbolic of moving forward in life. And I thought that the port was a really good symbol because that's where people come and go all the time and either leave their positive or negative impressions of Barcelona. So I just want to leave you with that being a foreigner is different for everybody, as you see with Andrea. Even locals can find themselves being foreigners, and Barcelona has a lot to give to those who decide to give it a chance. Barcelona is a place of isolation and political conformity, but also of artistic expression and non-conformity that leaves the foreigner with the city at their fingertips. I hope you enjoyed my city walk. Thank you for coming with me on my adventures through Barcelona.